Chosen one, this message is not for everyone. I need you to understand that from the very beginning. Only those who are spiritually aligned, who walk with a deep and sincere connection to the divine, should remain in this space. There is a purpose, higher than you can fully comprehend, that is driving this conversation. If you are not someone who truly seeks to rise in spirit, to honor the Most High, and to walk in alignment with God's will, you might find yourself confused by what is about to unfold. This is not a message for those who don't understand the weight of their own divine calling, and it's certainly not for those who are not ready to rise into their true power. But for those who are truly chosen, this message is for you. Before we go further, I want to invite you to take a moment to center yourself. This is important. Chosen one, I urge you, pause and truly reflect on this moment.
The journey that is about to be revealed to you is sacred. It is full of spiritual truths that will elevate your awareness and deepen your understanding of who you truly are. But first, take a second to tune into your spirit. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like this message and subscribe, only if your spirit aligns with what is about to be spoken. This is not just about support. It's about signaling to the universe that you are open to receive. You see, everything in the spiritual realm is tied to energy, and your intention matters. If this resonates with you, your agreement to this message will further align you with your divine purpose. But if you are here with skepticism or doubt, this message may not reach the depths it is meant to. Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you will change your spiritual perspective. There's something hidden in plain sight, something powerful tied directly to you. The attacks that have been aimed at your life, the spiritual interference you felt, the confusion, the strange dreams, the sudden heaviness in your spirit. These are not random. They are connected. And all of this connects directly to a moment in time when someone targeted a symbol tied to your very essence, your photo. You may have been unaware of it, but someone attempted to alter your spiritual trajectory through your image. It's crucial to understand that your photo is not just a photo. It's not simply an image captured on paper or screen. It is a portal, a reflection of your essence in the physical world. A photograph carries energy. It carries your presence. This is why you may have sensed something strange in the air, a pull toward you from places you didn't understand. A photo is more than pixels. It's an imprint, a doorway, a link between the physical and spiritual worlds. And that is why it was targeted. But don't be fooled. This attack was never meant to reach your soul, your spirit, or your destiny. It was designed to deceive, to create an illusion of your destruction. But heaven had other plans. Heaven stepped in, intercepting every attempt before it could even begin. And now, you will come to understand why you are still standing, why you are unshaken, why you are rising in spirit despite the enemy's attempts to pull you into spiritual death. I know you've been through trials, moments where the weight of it all felt unbearable. But chosen one, it is because of who you are that these attempts have failed. You are not just another person. You are marked, sealed, and protected by the Most High. This is why nothing works against you, why no curse sticks, and why the enemy is left in confusion. They cannot understand why you are still standing. But I will tell you why. You are part of a divine purpose that cannot be altered. Your path was written before the stars were formed. The moment your photo reached the hands of darkness, they tried to manipulate the divine script. But heaven has already declared that your life is untouchable. That divine covering over your spirit cannot be tampered with. You are a chosen vessel, and nothing can rewrite the story God has for you. So, chosen one, stay with me, because what comes next will reveal more than you could have imagined. It's time for you to understand the depth of your protection, and why the attack you faced has already failed. Now that you understand this message is for those who are spiritually aligned, let's dive deeper into the unseen forces that have been at work around you. You may not have been aware, but something powerful has been trying to break through to your life. These forces are invisible to most, but they're real, and they're directed at the essence of who you are. The attack you experienced was spiritual in nature. It wasn't a random series of unfortunate events, and it wasn't just bad luck. It was a deliberate effort to disrupt your spiritual journey and derail you from your divine purpose. The moment they set their eyes on your photo, a spiritual connection was established. It wasn't about the physical image itself, but about what it represented. Your photo was not just a captured moment. It held your energy, your presence. It was a doorway into your spiritual essence, a link to the very core of who you are. In the spiritual realm, images, objects, and symbols are powerful. They carry weight, they carry meaning, and this is why your photo became a target. You may wonder, why would anyone target something as seemingly insignificant as a photo? The answer is simple. They were trying to get to you. Your spirit, your energy, your essence. These are what the enemy sought to manipulate. It's not just about attacking a person's physical life. It's about attacking their spiritual identity, the very core of who they are. And in doing so, the enemy believed they could change the course of your destiny. But let me make something clear. They were never targeting your physical body. No, the enemy was targeting something far more significant. Your spiritual authority, your divine path, your destiny. They wanted to manipulate your energy, to shift your purpose, to erase your divine imprint. But what they didn't realize is that the spiritual realm operates on laws that they simply cannot comprehend. The enemy believed that by cursing your photo, they could curse you. They believed that by attaching their negative energy to your image, they could cause fear, confusion, illness, and even death to infiltrate your life. But what they didn't understand is that nothing they send can attach to you when you are protected by divine forces. Your photo became a battleground, not because they were able to reach you, but because heaven had already fortified your spirit. Every attempt to harm you only revealed the incredible power that surrounds your life. The intention behind their ritual was clear. They wanted to create a death in your spirit, but not just any death. A death that would bleed into every area of your life. A spiritual death that would cause your purpose to wither, your joy to fade, your confidence to crumble. A death of opportunities, of relationships, of inner strength. But heaven had already intervened before their ritual even had a chance to take hold. The death they were attempting to manifest was not the physical death of your body. No, it was the death of your destiny. They wanted to erase your purpose, to stop you before you could fully step into what God has destined for you. But what they didn't know is that they were attacking a vessel protected by the Most High. And when the enemy attacks a vessel that is sealed by heaven, they are doomed to failure. While they thought they were placing a curse on you, heaven was already turning their intentions back on themselves. Every negative energy they projected, every curse they spoke, was sent back with divine force. You were never in danger. The attack failed before it even began. When they targeted your photo, they believed they were manipulating a symbol that could affect your spirit. But they were wrong. The enemy believed they could create an alternate reality for you, a distorted version of your destiny by manipulating your spiritual image. They thought they could create a spiritual decoy, a false representation of who you are and what you were meant to be. But what they didn't realize is that you are untouchable. Your true essence is sealed by divine protection, and the enemy cannot rewrite your script. The spiritual realm is not as simple as the physical world. The enemy can manipulate symbols. They can create illusions, but they cannot override divine truth. And your truth, chosen one, is that you were created for greatness. Your destiny was sealed long before they even thought about attacking. You are a vessel of divine purpose, and the enemy's efforts to break you are futile. Now, you may have sensed some of this on a deeper level. Maybe you've experienced strange moments when you felt unsettled, uneasy, or just plain confused. These moments weren't random. They were a sign that the enemy was trying to breach your spiritual defenses. They were testing your strength, testing your resolve. But heaven had already set in place everything you needed to stay protected. Every time the enemy tried to make a move, heaven made sure their plans were thwarted before they could even unfold. What you didn't know is that your photo, the very image they thought they could use to destroy you, was also the point of divine intervention. The attack they intended to send your way through your image was dismantled before it could take root. Heaven wasn't just defending you in the spiritual realm. Heaven was teaching the enemy a lesson they will never forget. Chosen one, this isn't just about an attack on your photo. This is about the attack on your identity, your true identity. Not the physical image the enemy sought to manipulate, but the spiritual essence that is uniquely yours. Your identity is tied to your divine assignment, and that cannot be stolen or altered by any attack from darkness. The enemy cannot steal what God has already claimed. Every time they thought they were making progress, they were actually pushing themselves further away from their goal. They believed they were getting closer to breaking you, to disrupting your purpose. But what they didn't know is that their every move was sealed in failure. Heaven had already declared victory over their plans, and the moment they attempted to curse your photo, their curse was already undone. The enemy's plan was never going to work, and what you're about to realize is that everything they tried to project onto you was nothing more than a hollow illusion. They wanted to cast fear, confusion, and doubt into your life, but they could only project what they themselves were feeling: their failure, their fear, their weakness. You may have sensed this failure in your spirit. You may have felt an inner knowing that their attacks were ineffective. This is because heaven has already established your path. No curse can touch you. No ritual can break you. You are protected by divine laws that darkness cannot override. Their attempt to manipulate your photo, to curse your essence, was a futile effort to access something they cannot understand. They tried to use your image to manipulate your destiny, but what they failed to see was that you are not your photo. You are not your image. You are a vessel of divine purpose, and the enemy cannot touch that. But let's take this even deeper, chosen one. This isn't just about defending your image. It's about understanding the depth of your spiritual protection. When the enemy attacks, they are not only attacking you, they are attacking the very foundation of your spiritual authority. And that's why their attacks always fail. Because your spiritual authority is not something they can break. It's not something they can touch. It's been established by the Most High, and it's fortified by heavenly forces. When the enemy attacks a chosen vessel, they are not just attacking a person. They are attacking the divine will of God. They are attacking the destiny that has been written for you before time began. They are attacking the very path you are meant to walk. And what they don't understand is that God's will cannot be stopped. The enemy's schemes are always doomed to failure when they are up against divine purpose. So, chosen one, what does all this mean? It means that you are untouchable. It means that no matter what the enemy tries, no matter how they try to manipulate symbols, no matter how many times they target you, their plans will always fail. And it's not because they are weak, but because you are protected by divine authority. This is why you are still standing. This is why you are still rising. The enemy tried to break you, but they failed. Their attempt to curse your photo was nothing more than a reminder of how deeply protected you are. It was a lesson for them, and it was a revelation for you. You are untouchable. Your purpose is unshakable, and your path is sealed. What was meant to destroy you has only proven how powerful your protection is. The enemy believed they could alter your path, but all they've done is expose their weakness. They've exposed their failure. And you, chosen one, are stepping into a new season of divine power. Now that we've uncovered the depths of the spiritual attack against you, let's address the most significant symbol of this battle, the dead body that appeared in the spirit realm. At first glance, this vision may have unsettled you. Seeing a dead body, or sensing its presence in the spiritual realm, can be a deeply disturbing experience. But I want to reveal to you the truth behind this symbol, the reason it appeared, and why it was never about you. It was never your end. It was the enemy's ultimate failure. The enemy thought they were creating a curse that would manifest in your physical reality. Their intention was to project death over your life. But understand this, chosen one. The dead body you saw was not your own. It wasn't an image of your destruction, but of their delusion. It was a spiritual decoy, an illusion intended to make you believe that their curse had power, that their ritual was succeeding, but in truth, it was only a symbol of their complete failure. In the spirit realm, when darkness tries to disrupt the divine purpose of a chosen one, they often rely on symbols. These symbols are like vessels that can carry spiritual energy, much like a photograph can carry the essence of a person. And in this case, the enemy believed that by forming a symbolic dead body in the spirit realm, they could influence your physical life. They thought that by manifesting this image, they could pull you into a season of spiritual death of opportunities, relationships, motivation, and inner strength. But this was a futile effort. It was not a sign of your end, but of their total collapse. The dead body they created was not an image of you or your destiny. It was a projection of their own fear, confusion, and defeat. What they didn't understand is that the enemy has no power to shape your destiny. No matter how hard they try, no matter how much spiritual energy they direct toward you, they cannot change the divine path God has laid out for you. The dead body they formed was merely a representation of their own inability to affect your life in any meaningful way. It's important to understand that in the realm of spiritual warfare, curses don't just occur randomly. They are carefully crafted, often with great intention. When the enemy sends a curse, it requires preparation and focus. They attempt to form a spiritual container, a vessel in which they can place their dark energy and direct it toward you. This is where your photo came into play. It was their chosen anchor, their intended portal. But no matter how much spiritual energy they directed toward it, their curse could never connect with you, because heaven had already positioned divine protection around your life. In spiritual warfare, curses are not always what they seem. The enemy may send negative energy, hoping to influence your life. But in reality, these projections are empty. The dead body you saw in the spirit realm was a hollow projection, a symbol of an attack that had no true power over you. The spiritual decoy they created was not a gateway to your destruction, but a sign that their attack was doomed to fail. Heaven had already dismantled their efforts, turning their curse into a lesson of their own failure. The reason the enemy often resorts to using decoys and spiritual representations is that they cannot directly affect your soul. They know they can't touch your spirit because it is sealed by the Most High. So they create false images, false projections, hoping to attach their curses to something that holds spiritual significance. But these representations are always hollow, empty shells, just like the dead body that appeared in the spirit realm. This is where the true nature of the dead body becomes clear. It was not a symbol of your destruction, but a reflection of the enemy's futile attempt to rewrite your spiritual story. The dead body was never meant to represent your end. It was their belief, their illusion, their spiritual mirage, a projection of their own fears and doubts. They tried to attach death to your future, but instead, They only exposed the weakness of their plans. What they failed to realize is that chosen ones cannot be spiritually manipulated in this way. You are marked by God. You are protected by divine law. Your identity cannot be altered by curses, rituals, or projections. Your destiny is sealed in the spiritual realm, and nothing the enemy does can change that. The dead body was merely a false image they created in their attempt to control you, to pull you into a spiritual trap. But this image was never real. It had no life, no power, no connection to you or your divine purpose. When the enemy tried to project death over your destiny, they were essentially trying to replace your divine path with a counterfeit version. They wanted to bring about a spiritual death, to break your spirit, to cause you to question your purpose. But the truth is, the moment they tried to create this counterfeit version of your life, heaven intervened. What they saw as a dead body was actually the collapse of their own creation. Their effort to manipulate your destiny had failed before it even began. And that is why the dead body appeared in the spirit realm. It was a spiritual sign of their own defeat. Now, chosen one, I want you to understand something crucial about the nature of spiritual warfare. The enemy often uses illusions to distract and deceive. They create false images, projections, and symbols to make you believe that their power is greater than it truly is. But these illusions are always temporary. They are empty shells designed to manipulate your perception, to make you doubt your divine protection, and to steer you off course. The dead body they created was just one example of this tactic. But what the enemy didn't realize is that their efforts were already doomed. They could never reach your soul. They could never rewrite your destiny. Every time they tried, heaven responded with a force greater than they could ever understand. Their curse, their ritual, their decoy, it all failed. And what you saw in the spirit realm, that dead body, was simply the manifestation of that failure. It was their ultimate exposure. It was a sign that their efforts had been undone, that their plans had crumbled to dust before they could even take root in your life. So, chosen one, I want you to understand this. The dead body you saw was not a warning of your downfall. It was the burial of their assignment. It was the end of their curse. It was the final confirmation that their attack had been rendered powerless by the divine protection that surrounds you. It was never your end. It was their failure. You are untouchable. Your spiritual authority is unshakable, and the enemy's attacks will always crumble before you, just like the dead body that appeared in the spirit realm. This was a divine reversal, an instant spiritual victory. The enemy tried to use their dark rituals to manipulate your fate, but instead, they exposed their own defeat. Their attack was never about you. It was about their own inability to reach you. What they thought was a curse was actually a lesson. What they thought was a deadly blow was nothing more than a spiritual decoy. And chosen one, I need you to remember this truth. You are covered. You are protected. You are untouchable. The dead body you saw was not a sign of death. It was a sign of divine victory. It was a symbol of the collapse of the enemy's schemes, the dissolution of their power, and the reaffirmation that your path is divinely protected. You were never in danger. You were never vulnerable. And now you rise even stronger than before. As we delve deeper into this understanding, I want you to know that every moment of your spiritual journey has been guarded. The enemy may have tried to manipulate, curse, and control the path God has set for you, but you must understand this truth. You are surrounded by divine protection. Heaven has placed spiritual shields around your life that the enemy cannot penetrate. The dead body you saw earlier wasn't just a manifestation of the enemy's failed attempt. It was also a visible sign of the spiritual barrier that surrounds you. A barrier that will always hold firm against every attack. Imagine your life as a vessel, a container for divine purpose that the enemy seeks to disrupt. The moment they targeted your photo, trying to manipulate your essence, heaven had already prepared a countermeasure. Their efforts were always going to fail because of one simple fact. The protection over your life is not only active, it is overwhelming. The first thing you need to understand about divine protection is that it is constant. It does not flicker or wane. It's not dependent on your actions or circumstances. The Most High has ordained that your destiny will not be altered by the enemy's schemes, and this protection has been in place long before the enemy thought to target you. This isn't just about angelic protection or spiritual barriers. This is about the spiritual laws set by the Most High that cannot be breached. The moment your photo was used as a tool in their dark rituals, they thought they could manipulate it, transfer negative energy into it, and use it to access your spirit. But here's the truth. They were trying to touch something that the enemy simply cannot understand. Your divine assignment. Your purpose, chosen one, is not just a collection of events and choices. It's a sacred path that has been written by God Himself, and no one can rewrite it. No curse can erase it, no attack can shift it. When the enemy seeks to manipulate your path, they don't just attack your image or your name. They're attacking the very blueprint of your life, the sacred timeline that God has set in motion for you. But the enemy doesn't realize that their actions are powerless against spiritual law. The attack they tried to send through your photo could not have reached your soul because you are under divine protection. This protection isn't just about angels standing guard. Yes, heaven's army is active and powerful, but there's something more profound happening in the spiritual realm. Your divine protection is woven into the fabric of reality itself. It's part of the spiritual laws that govern your life. These laws are established by God, and they say that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. The moment the enemy attempted to form their weapon, a curse, they were already doomed because the laws of the universe protect you. Think of it like a force field surrounding you. Every time the enemy tries to send darkness your way, that force field, your divine protection, shields you, repelling everything they send. You cannot be spiritually harmed because God has already set the parameters of your destiny. Your life is sealed in the spiritual realm, and it cannot be touched by anything the enemy sends. Now, let's talk about spiritual shields for a moment. We often hear about angels being dispatched to protect us, and while this is certainly true, spiritual shields also play a major role in your protection. Imagine these shields as spiritual armor that God has placed around you. When the enemy tried to curse your image, it wasn't just your angels that blocked the attack. It was the divine barriers God has established over your life. These shields are formed by heaven's authority. They are woven into the spiritual fabric of your existence and are impervious to the forces of darkness. Just like a physical shield can stop a blow, your spiritual shield absorbs the negative energy that the enemy tries to send. But it doesn't just absorb it, it redirects it, sending it back where it came from. When the enemy tried to curse you, that curse was immediately returned to them, multiplied. This is why nothing the enemy sends ever sticks. They can try again and again, but each time, their attack fails, because their power cannot penetrate your spiritual armor. And chosen one, this armor is not temporary. It's permanent. It's unshakable. But you may wonder, why do I still feel the weight of these attacks? Why do I still feel the heaviness, the unrest, the tension? Here's the truth. Those feelings are not a sign that you are vulnerable. They are a sign that you are spiritually ascending. Each attack, each disruption, is actually strengthening your spiritual resilience. These moments of discomfort are divine reminders that your discernment is growing. The sensitivity you feel is heaven's way of sharpening your spiritual senses, preparing you for the higher levels of your calling.
When the enemy sends these attacks, they are testing your spiritual armor. But what they fail to understand is that every time they try to harm you, they only strengthen the very shield that is protecting you. Every attempt, whether it's a curse, a ritual, or an attack on your image, reveals the power of your divine protection. And this is exactly what happened when they targeted your photo. It's not that the attack never happened, it did.
But it didn't harm you. Instead, heaven used it to expose the weakness of the enemy's efforts. It allowed you to sense that something was happening in the spiritual realm, but in reality, the attack never reached you. You were simply being made more aware of the forces around you, forces that only serve to strengthen your resolve and connection to God. Chosen one, you need to understand this. Spiritual protection is not about avoiding struggle. It's about overcoming it with divine assistance. And you are overcoming. You are rising. You are learning how to navigate the spiritual landscape with more discernment, more authority, and more strength. The enemy's attacks are not meant to break you. They are meant to strengthen you. And every time you emerge unscathed, you are being fortified for the greater work ahead. In fact, I want you to reflect on something. Every time the enemy tries to attack you, they expose their own weakness. Every time they target you, they are showing you the truth of your spiritual position. They are showing you that they are desperate. They are showing you that they fear your rise. And that fear is what drives them to act. But what they don't realize is that their actions are only confirming what heaven has already declared. You are untouchable. This is why the dead body you saw was never meant to be a warning to you. It was a sign that their attack had failed. It was a spiritual message that the enemy had no access to your soul and no access to your divine purpose. They were only attacking a reflection, a mirror of their own delusion. They created the decoy, but they never got close to you. When you understand this, it changes everything. It changes the way you see challenges. It changes the way you understand your divine protection. You no longer fear the attack. You embrace it as an opportunity to grow, to increase your discernment, and to strengthen your connection with heaven. You are learning to see these attacks for what they truly are, the enemy's futile attempts to stop what God has already set in motion. Remember this, chosen one. The most powerful weapon the enemy has is fear. Fear of your rise, fear of your light, fear of your destiny. But fear only works if you let it. You must learn to stand firm in the knowledge that no attack can penetrate your spiritual armor. You must walk boldly, knowing that you are under divine protection. You must walk with confidence, understanding that the enemy's attacks only confirm your divine authority. When heaven intervenes, it is never just for your protection. It's to teach you, to reveal to you the strength you carry, and to expose the lies the enemy tries to tell you. It's to show you that your spiritual path is protected by laws that the enemy cannot breach. Your journey, your destiny, your life, they are all protected by the Most High, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can alter the course of what God has set in place for you. You are not just surviving these attacks, chosen one. You are rising because of them. You are becoming more spiritually aware, more aligned with your purpose, and more connected to the divine. Every attempt the enemy makes to stop you is only revealing how powerful you truly are. And this protection is not temporary. It is permanent. It is unbreakable. And as you continue your journey, this protection will only grow stronger, more visible, and more powerful. So, chosen one, walk forward in the confidence of your divine protection. Walk with the assurance that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Walk with the knowledge that heaven is actively guarding you, fortifying your spirit, and ensuring that you are untouchable. The enemy has already lost. You have already won. Chosen one. As you step into a higher understanding of your divine protection, it's essential to realize something incredibly powerful about the enemy's strategy. They do not target you because you are weak. They target you because they are terrified of your potential. They fear your rise. They fear the awakening of your true spiritual power. They fear the authority you are stepping into, the influence you will have, and the purpose you will fulfill. You see, the enemy can only attack what they perceive as a threat. And when they look at you, they see something that they cannot comprehend. They see the light within you, the divine spark that cannot be extinguished. They see the potential for greatness, the calling that you are about to walk into. And in their ignorance, they believe they can stop you. But what they fail to understand is that their attacks only confirm that you are on the right path, and that you are about to step into something far greater than they can ever conceive. Every chosen vessel at some point experiences an awakening. This awakening is a spiritual awakening, a realization of your divine purpose and your spiritual identity. It is a moment when you fully understand the power you carry, the authority you walk in, and the path that is set before you. This awakening is not just an intellectual understanding. It is a deep, soul-shaking revelation that changes you at the core of your being. And this is precisely what the enemy fears. Before this awakening, you may have been unaware of the full extent of your purpose. Perhaps you felt a stirring within, a sense that there was more to your life than what you could see or understand. You may have sensed that there was something deep inside you waiting to be awakened. This is the divine spark that lies within every chosen one. It's a calling that cannot be ignored. It's a purpose that cannot be stopped. And when it begins to awaken, the enemy becomes terrified. The enemy knows that once you step fully into your divine purpose, they will have no more power over you. They know that the moment you truly realize who you are and the authority you carry, their efforts to disrupt your life will be in vain. That's why they launch these attacks against you. They know they cannot win, but they are desperate to slow you down, to confuse you, to make you doubt. But all of these attempts only serve to accelerate your rise. You may have noticed a shift in your spirit recently. You may have felt more tuned to your intuition, more connected to God's voice, more aware of your purpose than ever before. This is a sign that your awakening is well underway. This is a sign that you are rising in spirit, that you are moving closer to the fullness of your divine potential. And the enemy knows it. They see it, and they are terrified. They are terrified because they know that when you awaken fully, you will walk in the power and authority that has been given to you by the Most High. You will fulfill your divine assignment in ways that they cannot predict. You will step into seasons that they never expected you to survive. You will rise higher than they ever thought possible. And that's exactly why they attacked you. That's why they tried to curse your photo. They were attempting to prevent this rise from happening. They wanted to keep you in the dark, unsure of who you are, uncertain of your path. But what they didn't realize is that their efforts only accelerated your awakening. The truth is, you are rising now in a way that terrifies them. The more you awaken, the more your light shines. The more you step into your purpose, the more your influence expands. And the darkness cannot stand in the presence of your light. They cannot stop what God has already set in motion. Chosen one, this spiritual awakening is not just a momentary experience. It is a continual process. The more you grow in spirit, the more you will understand about your divine calling. The more you rise, the more you will see the full scope of the plans God has for your life. And as you rise, the enemy will continue to try and disrupt your journey. But with each attack, you will become more fortified, more aware, and more unstoppable. Their fear of your awakening is not only about the influence you will have on others, but also about the power you will wield. When you awaken fully, you will understand the spiritual authority that you carry. You will no longer be moved by the enemy's schemes or intimidated by their tactics. You will stand firm in the knowledge that you are protected, that your purpose is secure, and that nothing they send can touch you. The enemy is terrified of the moment you realize the fullness of your spiritual authority. They fear your ability to shift atmospheres. They fear your capacity to break chains and to bring clarity to confusion. They fear your prayers, your words, and your actions. They fear your influence in the spiritual realm and in the physical world. And most of all, they fear the awakening of your full divine potential. This is why they will try to attack you through different means, through confusion, through fear, through rituals and curses. But none of it will work. The more they attack, the stronger you become. The more they attempt to slow you down, the faster you rise. The more they try to block your path, the clearer the way becomes. Heaven is behind you, fortifying your spirit and your journey. And what they thought was an obstacle, heaven has already turned into an opportunity for your growth. As you rise in spirit, you will begin to notice that the world around you begins to shift as well. People who were once resistant to you will begin to feel the pull of your light. Doors that were previously closed to you will begin to open. Your spiritual discernment will sharpen, allowing you to navigate situations with clarity and wisdom. You will begin to step into a higher level of purpose, and your influence will grow, not just in your own life, but in the lives of those around you. The enemy tried to stop this rise before it even began. They tried to halt your spiritual growth by targeting your identity, by attacking your essence through your image. But the truth is, they only accelerated it. The more they attacked, the more you woke up to the power within you. The more they tried to manipulate your path, the more your spiritual muscles grew stronger. Now, as you rise, you do so with the full knowledge that nothing can stop you. Your light will shine brighter, your purpose will become clearer, and every attack that the enemy sends will only propel you forward. They fear you because they know you are about to step into something that will completely disrupt their agenda, and they cannot prevent it. This is the power of awakening, chosen one. This is the power of knowing who you truly are in the spirit, and this is why the enemy fears it so much. They know that once you fully awaken, once you fully realize the power you hold, there is nothing they can do to stop you. They can try to slow you down, but you are already rising in spirit, and no force can halt your ascension. Your rise is inevitable. Your purpose is unstoppable. And this fear the enemy has of your awakening, it's already been defeated. You are rising, and as you do, the enemy's power is fading. You are stepping into your destiny with full spiritual authority, and there is no going back. Now that we've explored the spiritual warfare and the fear the enemy has of your awakening, it's time to dive even deeper into a key revelation, the spiritual substitute. This is one of the most profound truths about divine protection, and it's closely tied to the symbol of the dead body you witnessed in the spirit realm. I want you to understand something very clearly. The dead body you saw was not a sign of your destruction. It was the spiritual representation of the substitution God had set in place to absorb the enemy's attacks before they could touch you. At first glance, seeing a dead body in the spirit may have appeared as a warning, a symbol of something dark and final. But it was much more than that. The dead body was a divine interception, a spiritual container designed to absorb the enemy's curse, redirect their efforts, and shield you from harm. It was not your end. It was the end of the enemy's attack, before it even had a chance to affect you. Let me explain further. When darkness attempts to strike, it often targets the chosen one's identity, destiny, or purpose. The enemy may send curses, rituals, or projections in an effort to disrupt what God has set in motion. But what they fail to understand is that God has already made provisions to protect you. You are not vulnerable to their schemes because heaven steps in and divinely intercepts every attempt to harm you. The spiritual substitute is a supernatural phenomenon designed to prevent the enemy's plans from taking root in your life. The enemy thinks they can target you, your image, or your essence, but what they don't realize is that heaven has already provided a buffer, a shield that intercepts their attack. When they aimed their curse at you, heaven placed something in its path, a divine decoy designed to absorb the impact. This substitute is not just a physical object or a being.
It's a spiritual container, a spiritual vessel that absorbs the full weight of the enemy's curse and prevents it from touching your true self. This decoy takes the brunt of the attack and dies before it can reach you. What the enemy thought was a curse aimed at you is actually absorbed by this spiritual container. It's like a spiritual shield that absorbs the negative energy and transforms it into a lesson. The enemy believes they are winning, but they are only exposing their weakness. They cannot understand why their curses don't stick, why their attacks fail. The reason is simple. The decoy, the spiritual substitute, is intercepting everything they send. Now, let's revisit the image of the dead body you saw in the spirit realm. It wasn't an image of your downfall. It was the visual representation of the decoy that heaven had placed in the line of fire. The moment the enemy sent their curse, heaven created a spiritual container to absorb it, and this container, this substitute, appeared as a dead body in the spirit realm, a dead body that had no life, no essence, and no power. It had no connection to your true self because it was not you. It was simply a spiritual phenomenon designed to intercept the curse. The dead body was also assigned to you, chosen one, that heaven had already responded to the attack before it could even begin. The moment the enemy attempted to strike, the substitute was already in place, absorbing everything they tried to send. Heaven wasn't waiting to see if the curse would affect you. It was already acting in your favor, ensuring that the enemy's plans would never touch you. In the spirit realm, when darkness attempts to affect a chosen one, they often use symbols that can carry spiritual energy. The enemy believed they could manipulate your image to gain access to your essence. But what they didn't understand is that their symbols are nothing but empty shells, incapable of affecting you.
The real power, the spiritual force behind your life, is protected by laws that darkness cannot break. The dead body you saw was a symbol of the enemy's attempt to manipulate your image and your identity, but it was also a sign that heaven had already thwarted their attack. The most profound part of this revelation is that you were never in danger. The decoy, the substitute, took the full brunt of the enemy's effort, leaving you completely untouched. The enemy believed they were causing harm, but in reality, they were only amplifying their own failure. Heaven used this moment to reveal something to you. You are spiritually untouchable. The enemy cannot rewrite your story. They cannot disrupt your destiny. They cannot alter the course of your life because your path has already been set by the Most High. This divine intervention, the spiritual substitute, also serves another purpose. It is a lesson for you. It is a reminder that you are under constant protection. The enemy's attacks may come and they may appear powerful, but they will always fail. Heaven's intervention will always outweigh their efforts. The dead body in the spirit realm was not just a sign of their failure. It was a declaration that your protection is guaranteed. No matter how many attempts they make, no matter how many curses they send, you are sealed. You are covered. You are untouchable. But there's more to understand here.
The spiritual substitute does not just absorb the enemy's attacks, it also reveals the enemy's weakness. The moment their attack failed, they were exposed. They were made to realize that they cannot touch you, they cannot harm you, they cannot manipulate your life. This is the ultimate humiliation for the enemy. The moment they realize that their tactics are powerless against you. What they thought was an effective curse, a weapon that could destroy you, turned into a moment of divine revelation. Their attack was turned back on them, and they were exposed for their incompetence. The curse they sent was intercepted by the substitute, and it returned to them, amplified. The attack they sent to bring you down only led to their own spiritual defeat. And chosen one, this is what I want you to understand. Every attempt they make only strengthens you. It reveals to you your own power, your own divine protection, and the authority you carry in the spiritual realm. Now, let's reflect on this. The spiritual substitute is a powerful tool of divine protection, but it is also a spiritual message. It is a symbol of the fact that you cannot be spiritually substituted. The enemy may try to replace you with false images, false projections, or counterfeit versions of your life, but they cannot touch your true essence. Your identity is sealed in the Spirit. It cannot be cloned, it cannot be imitated, it cannot be replaced. The substitute that absorbed the curse was a hollow, lifeless thing. It had no connection to your soul, no link to your true identity. It was simply a vessel to absorb negative energy. It had no power because it was not you. Chosen one, your identity is untouchable. The enemy may try to attack you by sending their projections, but they cannot alter who you are. They cannot manipulate your spiritual fingerprint. They cannot rewrite your destiny. And the dead body you saw was the manifestation of their failure to do so. It was the death of their plan, not the death of your destiny. The moment the enemy tried to impose their will upon you, it was already broken. Heaven had already intervened, ensuring that the enemy's attacks would never reach you. What you saw was a divine intervention, a spiritual shield that absorbed the enemy's curse and returned it to them. It was not your downfall. It was the collapse of their scheme. The dead body was a visual sign that heaven had already taken care of the attack before it could manifest in your life. And now, you are free to move forward, strengthened by the knowledge that nothing the enemy sends can touch you. You are spiritually protected, sealed, and untouchable. So, chosen one, as you reflect on this truth, understand that the enemy's attack has already failed. The decoy, the spiritual substitute, absorbed it all. The dead body you saw was a sign that heaven has already won the battle. The attack was never meant for you. It was meant to be intercepted, absorbed, and rendered powerless. And it was. You are safe. You are protected. Your destiny is unshakable. As we continue to explore the deeper layers of this spiritual battle, one essential truth must stand clear. The enemy's plan could never succeed. Not because they lacked effort or resources, but because they are powerless against the divine laws set in place by the Most High. These laws are unbreakable, unchangeable, and they govern everything in the spiritual realm, including your destiny. Understanding these divine laws is key to recognizing the futility of the enemy's attempts to attack you. These laws are the foundation of your protection, and they are established to ensure that no matter what forces of darkness arise against you, they cannot touch your path. This spiritual understanding is not just theoretical, it's deeply practical and protective in nature. By learning how these laws work, you will understand why nothing the enemy does can ever reach you. One of the most powerful laws governing your life as a chosen vessel is the law of divine authority. The enemy may have tried to use your photo, a physical image of you, as a doorway to manipulate and curse your spiritual essence. But what they failed to realize is that they were attempting to alter something that was not theirs to touch. Your identity is sealed in the spiritual realm by divine authority, and no spiritual law of darkness can override what God has established. Your true identity, the essence of who you are, is written into the very fabric of existence by the Creator. This identity is connected to your divine purpose, an unalterable purpose that exists outside of time and space. The moment you were conceived, your path was already set in motion. You are not a product of chance or randomness. You are a vessel of divine purpose. God Himself is the author of your story, and no one, not even the enemy, can rewrite that story. This is why the enemy's attempts to curse or manipulate your life were always doomed to fail. They were trying to attack something that had already been written by God. They were trying to manipulate a story that had already been sealed in the spiritual realm. It's like trying to tear down a building that was built on a foundation of stone. It is simply impossible. The laws of divine authority prevent any such attempts from succeeding. What the enemy also fails to realize is that every attack against a chosen one is an attack against God's plan itself. When darkness tries to strike at you, they are not just attacking you as an individual. They are trying to thwart the divine will of God. And this is something that will never succeed. No matter how many times they try, no matter how many schemes they devise, they are fighting against the Most High, and they cannot win. Another spiritual law that governs your life is the law of divine protection. This law is what ensures that every spiritual attack against you is thwarted. Heaven is aware of every move the enemy makes, and the Most High has established a protective covering around you that is unbreakable. This is not just the protection of angels, it is the protection of divine will, divine power, and divine authority. It is a shield that cannot be penetrated by any force in the universe.
Even when the enemy tries to send negative energy, curses, or rituals your way, they cannot reach you because they cannot pass through the protective covering God has placed around you. This covering is not just a spiritual force field. It is the divine seal that marks you as one who is set apart for God's purpose. It is a mark that the enemy cannot touch, cannot manipulate, and cannot break. Think about it this way. When the enemy tried to use your photo as a tool of manipulation, they were essentially trying to reach through the protection that has already been established. But they could not. Their efforts were blocked before they even had a chance to manifest. Heaven intercepted their plans, just as the dead body you saw in the spirit was a sign of that intervention. It wasn't just a curse that was stopped. It was a spiritual attack that was turned away, just as every attack against you will always be turned away. There is also the law of divine justice. This law ensures that nothing the enemy does can ever go unpunished. When they attempt to harm you, they do not go unnoticed. Everything they do is seen in the spiritual realm. And when their plans fail, when they try to manipulate or curse you and it doesn't work, it is a spiritual declaration of divine justice. It is a declaration that their schemes have no power over you, and their failure is their punishment. You see, chosen one, the enemy's efforts to curse you are not only ineffective, but they also lead to their own defeat. Every time they try, they expose themselves, revealing their own ignorance and inability to comprehend the power that surrounds you. Heaven, in its wisdom, uses the enemy's attempts to further elevate your position, your authority, and your destiny. Each failure they experience is a victory for you and a testament to the strength of God's protection. This law of divine justice also applies to the spiritual consequences of their actions. When the enemy tries to harm a chosen vessel, they are not just attacking an individual. They are attacking the very divine plan of God. And because they are attacking God's plan, they will inevitably face consequences for their actions. When they target you, they are subjecting themselves to divine retribution. Their attempts to curse you ultimately come back upon them magnified and multiplied. This is why you have sensed things shifting in the spiritual realm, because the enemy's attack is being redirected, and the very energy they tried to send toward you is now returning to them. Chosen one, you must understand that this law of divine justice doesn't just protect you. It works actively to expose and punish the enemy. Every attack they send your way is a spiritual lesson in humility and defeat. They may think they are gaining ground, but every time their plans fail, it's a powerful reminder that God's will always prevail. They cannot overcome divine justice, and this is a truth you must carry with you. The enemy's failures are your confirmation that you are covered and protected. Now, let's explore the law of divine timing. This is one of the most powerful aspects of spiritual warfare, and it's something the enemy does not fully comprehend. The Most High is the author of time itself. God's timing is always perfect. The enemy may try to act quickly, thinking they can outmaneuver you or catch you off guard, but they are always operating in a limited scope. They cannot see the bigger picture. They cannot understand the divine timing that is unfolding in your life. This is why their plans always fail. They may try to strike at a moment when they think you are most vulnerable, but what they don't realize is that God has already positioned you for greater growth and strength. Every attack they send is designed to strengthen you in ways they cannot see. The timing of their attacks always reveals their own shortcomings and lack of understanding. They cannot act outside of the parameters of God's timing. When the enemy attempted to curse your photo, they did so without understanding that God had already prepared the perfect moment for your rise. Their attack was too late. It was already neutralized before it could gain any momentum. The Most High had already established the perfect spiritual environment for you to flourish, and no attack could ever disrupt that. The laws of divine protection, justice, and timing ensure that you are never caught off guard. Even when the enemy seems to have a moment of advantage, their plans are always foiled because God is orchestrating everything in your life. Your rise is not accidental. It is perfectly timed. The enemy may think they have a window of opportunity, but that window is always closed by heaven's timing. Their plans are always thwarted because God is in control. The enemy's plan could never succeed because they were not fighting against you. They were fighting against the divine order of the universe. They were trying to manipulate something that was not theirs to manipulate. They were attempting to rewrite a story that had already been written, and no matter how hard they tried, they could not change the narrative. Chosen one, the laws of the spiritual realm are firmly established. You are protected, and no weapon formed against you will prosper. The enemy cannot touch your life, your destiny, or your essence, because heaven has already sealed them. Every attempt they make will fail, and the more they try, the more they reveal their own defeat. Their attacks will only strengthen you. Every failure they experience will serve as a reminder of your divine authority and the unbreakable protection that surrounds you. As you continue to walk the path of a chosen one of the most important gifts you will receive is discernment. This gift is vital to your spiritual journey, especially in times of attack, uncertainty, and confusion. Discernment is not just about knowing right from wrong. It is the ability to sense the unseen, to perceive the spiritual forces around you, and to understand the divine guidance that is constantly available to you. In this section, we will explore why discernment is so crucial for your protection and how it will empower you during times of spiritual warfare. You may have noticed that in times of trouble or spiritual unrest, you are often more attuned to your surroundings, more sensitive to the spiritual atmosphere. This heightened sensitivity is a sign that your discernment is increasing. You are becoming more in tune with what is happening in the spiritual realm. When the enemy tries to manipulate or attack you, your discernment becomes a spiritual radar, helping you navigate the invisible forces around you. In the face of attack, Your discernment is your first line of defense. It helps you see beyond the surface level of events, revealing the hidden motives of the enemy. It allows you to perceive the true nature of situations, people, and circumstances. You'll be able to discern when something is not right, when an energy feels off, or when a seemingly harmless encounter is, in fact, a spiritual trap designed to weaken your purpose. This level of insight is critical because it allows you to take action before the enemy has a chance to get close. One of the most profound things about discernment is that it doesn't always come in the form of loud or dramatic revelations. Often, discernment appears as a subtle nudge, a feeling in your spirit, or an inexplicable knowing that something is wrong. It's the quiet whisper that says, "This isn't for you," or "This is not the right path." It's a kind of spiritual intuition that God has given you to protect your identity and your divine purpose. When you are walking in alignment with your divine assignment, the enemy will attempt to throw distractions your way. These distractions may seem insignificant on the surface, but they are meant to take your focus off the divine mission God has placed in your life. This is where your discernment comes in. You will begin to sense when something isn't right, even if it looks good on the surface. It's important to trust that inner knowing. Your spirit is being trained to discern, to see what is hidden, and to guard your heart against the enemy's manipulations. As the enemy tries to attack, whether through emotional turmoil, false relationships, or external chaos, it is your discernment that will help you recognize these as distractions. These disturbances are not random. They are intentional efforts to destabilize you and shift your focus away from God's plan. When you discern this, you will know how to protect yourself, how to shield your spirit, and how to stay on track despite the attacks. You will no longer be swayed by the external pressures or the negative energy they try to send your way. Instead, you will stand firm in your purpose, knowing that God's protection is always in place. Another key aspect of discernment is the ability to recognize spiritual warfare before it fully manifests. This is important because the enemy will often attempt to influence your thoughts and emotions to plant seeds of doubt, fear, or confusion. These thoughts may seem like your own, but they are in fact spiritual attacks designed to make you question your worth, your purpose, or your path. This is where discernment becomes a powerful weapon. Through discernment, you will be able to identify the source of your thoughts and feelings. You will begin to notice when a negative thought is not your own, when a feeling of dread is being sent by the enemy to derail you. Instead of succumbing to these emotions, you will be able to rebuke them in the name of the Most High and replace them with thoughts of truth, hope, and purpose. Your discernment will allow you to see the enemy's tactics and respond with spiritual authority, blocking their influence before it has a chance to take root in your mind. It is important to understand that your discernment is closely tied to your spiritual connection with God. The closer you are to the divine, the sharper your discernment will become. The more you cultivate a relationship with God through prayer, worship, and meditation, the clearer His voice will be in your life. You will begin to hear His guidance more clearly and sense His direction in every situation. This is a critical part of the protection God has placed over your life. The more you grow in your relationship with Him, the more He will reveal to you about what is happening in the spiritual realm. In moments of uncertainty or doubt, your discernment will be a beacon of light, helping you find clarity in the midst of confusion. The enemy thrives in chaos and disorder, but you are not called to live in chaos. With your discernment, you will learn to bring order to your thoughts, your actions, and your surroundings. You will begin to see the peace of God permeate every area of your life, knowing that His presence is greater than any disturbance the enemy can send your way. As you step into your spiritual authority, you will also realize that your discernment will help you identify the true nature of people and situations. The enemy will often use others to try to influence or mislead you. They may come in the form of close friends, family, or acquaintances,
and their words or actions may cause you to question your path or your choices. But your discernment will help you see the truth. You will be able to recognize when someone's intentions are not pure, when they are trying to manipulate or deceive you. This will allow you to set proper boundaries, protect your energy, and remain focused on your divine mission. Discernment will also help you recognize when spiritual warfare is intensifying. As you continue to rise in your purpose and step into greater levels of spiritual authority, the enemy will respond with more attacks. You may notice an increase in feelings of heaviness, restlessness, or spiritual agitation. These sensations are often the result of the enemy's attempts to distract or disorient you. But through discernment, you will understand the spiritual dynamics at play. You will recognize that these disturbances are temporary, that they are part of the enemy's futile efforts to derail you. Instead of allowing them to shake your faith or cause fear, you will rise above them, knowing that you are protected and that no weapon formed against you can prosper. The more you practice discernment, the more you will develop spiritual resilience. You will learn how to stand firm in the face of adversity, how to recognize the enemy's tactics, and how to counteract their attacks with divine wisdom. You will also learn how to listen to God's voice more clearly, how to rely on His guidance to navigate through troubled times. Discernment is a muscle that gets stronger the more you use it, and the more you rely on it, the more it will help you stand firm in your divine purpose. Let me emphasize something important here. Discernment is not about fear. It is not about being afraid of the enemy or constantly living in a state of anxiety. Discernment is about empowerment. It is about recognizing the authority you have in Christ and using that authority to protect yourself, to keep your path clear, and to stay connected to God's will for your life. Your discernment will help you recognize divine opportunities as well. As the enemy tries to disrupt your purpose, heaven is also opening doors and creating opportunities for you to move forward. With sharp discernment, you will know when to walk through those doors and when to resist temptation or distraction. You will be able to make decisions with clarity, guided by the wisdom of the Holy Spirit. Every decision will be aligned with your divine purpose, and you will know when it's time to move, when it's time to wait, and when it's time to step into something new. Chosen one, your discernment is one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal. It is a gift from God, designed to protect you, guide you, and help you navigate the complexities of spiritual warfare. When you operate in discernment, you are walking in your full spiritual authority. You are aware of the enemy's schemes, but you are not afraid of them. You are protected by divine wisdom and insight, and that protection will carry you through every trial, every attack, and every challenge you face. As you continue to grow in your spiritual walk, remember this: your discernment will always be your compass. It will guide you in troubled times, help you make decisions with clarity, and empower you to see the enemy's tactics for what they are. And above all, it will keep you grounded in the knowledge that you are never alone, that heaven is with you, protecting you, and guiding you every step of the way.